first off, you may not be aware that Mike and I went head to head in a race one time. Somebody said, wouldn't it be fun? Michael Wardian's going to be at this race you're running, and wouldn't it be fun if you guys could compete? And I said, okay, well, how about if we, compete on an age graded basis? And so we sent him a note, and he says, yeah, we can do that. Okay, so I'm all excited about this, and then the starting gun goes off, and talk about rookie mistakes. I was in a porta potty.
Dean, after the itch, it does not surprise me.
The race director always starts late. He never gets things started within 10 minutes. Unfortunately, he wasn't there that day, and whoever his underling was started it right on time. And so, I tried hard to make up for it. I think I'd have lost anyway, but still, never. We'll have to do it again because I didn't get a fair
yeah,
shake.
That wasn't a fair shake. We'll definitely have to make it fair sometime soon.
Either that or both of you guys start in the porta potty.
Yep. That sounds
I guess
fair.
maybe it could have been worse if I hadn't gotten in the porta potty first, but
yeah.
Perhaps. Special day for us today because we're bringing in a guest, Mike Wardian. Mike Wardian really needs no introduction if you're familiar with anything ultra running related, but in terms of introduction, he's a Stoked Oats ambassador, has been for a couple of years. Ardent oatmeal aficionado. We know him as a lover of bucking A and burns through a pallet of bucking A every month and a half. But this guy takes on all comers in terms of running races and distances, from the short stuff like a miler to throwing in a 5K after racing a Western States just for kicks, to running across the United States for a fun thing to do and a good way to meet interesting people. In addition to this, Mike is working on his ultra rowing skill set and looking to dominate the World Pickleball League. So by the time he retires at the age of 65, he will already be a force to be reckoned with. We've got our man of the hour, Gene Dykes, who also has been leading the charge in the age grouper category for a solid decade plus. And when I asked Gene, hey, Gene, on the road to Western States, who would you really love to talk to? Mike was top of the list. So I'm really thrilled to be bringing everybody together. And I'm the low man on the totem pole today. Simon as the founder of Stoked Oats. So, gents, great to have you both on the show. Thanks so much for joining us for breakfast today. Mike, since you're at the top of my screen here, what are you eating right now?
I've got actually it's a very, very nice bowl of bucking A granola. So I have a little of that for breakfast, and that's what I've been eating. Beauty.
Gene, how about you today?
Well, I'm going with the oatmeal today. This is the Stone Age oats, and I'm letting it cool down. I just microwaved it, and you can tell I'm not a coffee drinker because it's got to be pretty cool before it won't burn my lips.
Fair enough. Well, I'll handle the coffee. I've already powered through this cup, so I might have to get up in the middle of this for a refill. But gents, let's dive into this. So the road to Western States. Mike, how many times have you run Western States course?
I think it's been 3.
3 times. All right. When was your first time on it?
Oh, that's a good question. I think originally it was maybe 2009, maybe. But I think it was supposed to be 2008 and there was a fire, or it was something like that. So they canceled it one year, and then I ran the year after. And I think I ran it 2 years in a row, maybe. And then the last time was maybe 2015 or 2016, I think.
Gotcha. And you created your own little tradition after the race. And what was that?
Oh, I did. Yeah. So after the race, I'd run a mile. So the first time Oh, actually, maybe I did it 4 times. I don't know. It's been 3 or 4 times. The first time I created the tradition, I challenged Craig Thornley, the race director, to a 1 mile race the day after the race. And I had run the race, but he had also stayed up for like 36 hours or 60 hours or something. So like it was pretty fair as far as like exhaustion level. And he actually drafted me for 3 laps and then passed me with like 200 meters to go. And so, but we both ran really fast. I think maybe 5:15 or 5:16. So like it was a
Wow.
pretty good mile. And then so I started doing that at a bunch of other races. So I actually started like the depletion mile the day after Hard Rock 100 miler, and that's been going on for like 4 or 5 years now. So that's been cool to see that tradition kind of survive from Western states and transition to other races kind of around the world and races that I take part in.
That's savage. Gene, what do you think? After you set the record this year, are you going to run a mile?
I don't think so. I don't run a mile under the best of circumstances. I think, not to mention that probably 5:30 is would whoop me.
Fair enough. We'll play it by ear. We'll play it by ear. See how the race goes, and then we can talk about the mile. Okay. Well, hey guys, I don't want to guide the conversation through here. Mike, you've run it a bunch of times. Gene, what questions have you got from Mike about Western states and some thoughts on the course, how to be successful with your goal, everything else?
Well, I kind of looked up a lot of the races that Michael has done, so I could ask him: is Western States harder or easier than this one? But
Ooh, let's play that game. I can do that.
yeah, I could, except I couldn't find too many. I couldn't find too many races in common that we'd both done, and so.
Well, maybe I need your list of races because I feel like you race as much as I do. So I've been missing out on half the world then.
Yeah, I was surprised. I think I computed that we've done 80. Let's see. You've done. I looked on Ultra Sign Up first, and you had done 100 and say 137. Here it is, and I've done 88. And of those, the only ones in common are the North Face Endurance Challenge, a road race, the ComSat 50K, and the half marathon where we went head to head with each other. So
oh, nice.
Well, and then in common but in different years, we've also done the Laugavegur 55K in Iceland. That would be a good comparison.
Oh, that race is awesome.
Yeah, wonderful race. And
yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out, how hard is Western States? I figure it's, I know it's not as hard as, Hard Rock and Hurt. Those are probably the two hardest ones you've done.
I don't know about that. I mean, UTMB is pretty hard.
Oh, yeah.
And Eastern States, have you done that one?
No, I figured it's too hard for me.
That one's pretty hard.
Yeah, I was about to say it better be harder than Western States because or else I'm in over my head.
No, I mean I think you'll be fine. So I think Western States is challenging. Like I think the problem a lot of people have, and the problem that I have is like it is pretty runnable in a lot of the sections, and so it's hard to hold back when you feel like you should be running. So I think in a race like Hard Rock where you're really high and it's pretty mountainous, like sometimes you're going slow just because of the terrain, whereas Western States you do have those kind of big climbs, especially in the canyons. The biggest thing that I think gets a lot of people is the heat, man. So just that is something that you got to really take care of yourself in the heat, and be careful in the high country. Like that part, like no one really takes that into account as far as like that's a big part of the race. And everyone's like, oh, you start and you have one big climb and then you're just kind of, not doing anything, but you're actually like, once you go up from the base of the ski resort, it used to be called Squaw Valley. I think it's got a different name, like Olympic Valley maybe now, or you have a big climb out of there, and then everyone's like, oh, the climbing's done, and that's just not true. As far as every time
sure.
I've done it, there's still a lot of climbing up in the high country, and then also for us, like you're also low, so like you are going to be experiencing some altitude, and I don't know how early you're going to get out there, but I suggest getting out there a little bit early and getting acclimatized. But you probably have, a lot of familiarity with how your body feels at altitude.
Yeah, not too bad. I've always said, yeah, you're not getting as much oxygen, but usually at the pace you're running 100-miler, I'm not maxing it out, so I've got a little leeway there to just breathe harder, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm planning on getting out there at least a week early.
Oh,
Somebody's
good.
offered me a cabin up there at 7,000 feet.
Oh,
So,
that's perfect. Yeah.
so I don't know. I think I should be there more than a week. I don't know. I'll research it, but I think I've heard like 10 days, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna say is like if you can, like I've actually found like 9 days works really good for me. So
Okay.
it's a little bit more than a week. And then I try to do something, and you wouldn't have any problem with this, something kind of hard the first weekend I'm there to get over all the like how crappy you feel at altitude, especially when you're pushing a little bit. And you get used to like, taking drinks out of your bottle and feeling like lightheaded and all that kind of like nonsense just coming from sea level. And then when the race comes, like you still have a little time to recover from that big effort when you get out there, and then you're kind of ready, and you're what you're going to be facing, and then also your body has time to recover from that effort when you get out there. And then you just go into your taper, right? So like, do a longer run that weekend before, get into your taper, and then just get ready to let it all hang out on race day.
My main concern, my main concern will be how technical it is on the downhills.
It's not. It's
Okay,
not.
if it's not, I can kill this course. Yeah, because I deal well with heat. I mean, well, absolutely, heat's going to slow you down, but relative to other people, I always run my best races in the heat.
Yeah, it's not so much the heat itself. Like I think it's like the heat mixed with the climbing and where you are on the course. Like depending on what time of day it is. Like if you get to the canyons during the heat of the day, you can that like I didn't expect that to be as big a deal. Like how it really traps the heat in the canyons, and then just like how you're taking care of yourself. So I don't know if you're gonna plan on using like sleeves and putting ice in it, or like an ice bandana. I think now, I don't know if they're allowed or not, but you can wear like an ice vest, or you're just going to put ice in your bottles, or I think having a good strategy for how you're going to deal with the heat is important.
Well, since I'll be well crewed, one of my favorite things I've done in other races is I have a tube sock that's like really long. Once it gets wet, it's 3 or 4 feet long, and I fill it up with ice, wrap it around my neck, and tuck the ends down my shirt. And
that's a good
works
strategy. Yep. And then maybe like I don't know what you're planning for, like switching socks, and how to avoid chafe. Like sometimes when I put like something like that around my neck, it drips down my back, and like I start to chafe on like kind of my tailbone area, and then also like if it gets in your socks, that can be a problem. So like I just that's just something like I'm sure you have experience with too, and a strategy for how to avoid that.
I guess, have you run any year when it was hot, a lot of snowpack?
I
It's always
have.
dry.
Nope. I had snowpack. I had 1 year where there was tons of snow in the high country. That's actually makes it pretty easy. Like you wouldn't have any trouble with that, unless you're like post holing. Like it's more like if it's in between and it's starting to like melt, and then you have like just crap that you have to like break trail or something, but you're probably going to be behind some people, so you can let them do all the hard work of breaking trail.
Somebody recommended to me that he says get a pair of soccer shoes for the first section. He says the big long spikes. He says he was just running right by people or holding on to each other for dear life.
I mean, I guess you could do that. Are you
Is
gonna
it-
have? Do they let you have two crews anymore, or can you only have one?
Boy,
Because they used to let you have two crews. Because there's some parts of the course where it's like really far for. It's not
We
that
had
far for.
we used two crews last year when we were supporting Reed, so
Yeah.
we're still able to have two crew vehicles out there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so like having two crews, that means you can get to all the stops. Because if you only have one crew, it's like too far for the crew to drive because you're going to be so fast. But like it might be 20 miles for you, but it'll be like 300 miles for them or something ridiculous, you know? And the roads are kind of narrow or whatnot. So like, yeah, I was just going to say if you're planning on like someone meeting you at like Dusty Corners or somewhere like that, like that's super tricky with only one crew. So having two crews is going to be a big benefit. So that's nice that you're going to have that resource and then they can have what you need.
Yeah, Gene will have an experienced crew chief, and he'll be well covered on the course. We'll be in good shape with pacers as well, his to pick. But yeah, that part of it we're definitely trying to make as easy as possible. All we want Gene to focus on is just head down, watch out for the roots and rocks, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, well, you'll be surprised. It's way easier than East Coast trail running. So like you're not going to have to worry about like Rocksylvania like what you're used to.
Well, I've run in that area a couple of times. I first met Candace Burt when she was the trip leader for a stage race around Lake Tahoe up on the Tahoe Rim Trail a lot, and
Okay.
then of course the Tahoe 200 runs, trails that'll probably look a lot like what I'm on, and that's where I got my impression that it can't be too hard. All the trails I've been up there are quite runnable.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty plush. I mean, the canyon sections can be a little rocky, but it's nothing like East Coast trails. There's no rocks and roots and that kind of stuff that can slow you down a bit.
So, Mike, what are you thinking about the whole pacing thing?
Oh my gosh, man, I'd be interested. Yeah, if Gene needs a pacer, I'm definitely interested in being. I'll throw my name in the hat to be considered for sure.
So you're willing to skip the World Pickleball Championships to pace Gene? Is that what I'm hearing you?
It definitely could. I could be enticed for sure. Like if enough bucking A ends up on my doorstep, like we could definitely talk about it.
Nice. Well, do you know any freight brokers?
Yeah. Gene, do you have any worries about like afternoon thunderstorms or any of that kind of stuff, or did you already have all that experience with like with the Tahoe 200 and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've managed to run into a few storms here and there. I don't know. I guess no, I never gave it a second thought.
Well, you don't get them that bad there. That's why I was like, yeah, I don't. I would, if you were worried about that, that's more like a higher like Leadville, Pikes Peak, Hard Rock type thing. So like, I haven't really had that experience there. Mostly, it's just like it's darn hot. Like just making sure your crew has a lot of ice, and then one of the tricks that my friend has done in the past is having Slurpees. So like having like really cold like icy type things. It's like Paul Terranova and his wife, they finally like shared that secret with me after like him kicking my butt for like 3 years in a row. And she's like, I was like, how does he come back from the dead every year? And Meredith's like, oh, it's ices. And they put them on dry ice. And so they keep them super, super cold. And they have them for like the last 20 or 30 miles of the race. And then it just cools you down from the inside. So it's really, really nice. So I don't know if you do that kind of stuff. I saw in the one video you were drinking Coke, but you can get like a Coke icy type thing, or even just get a Coke and freeze it and then drink it like slushy style.
Wow, if somebody could give me a Coke icy out on the course now, Now that would
Oh
be,
man, the last time I did it, I had my friends bring me like Mexican Coke in bottles. Like that was like a big luxury.
mhm.
Classic.
That's
Yeah.
it's one of my favorites when I'm traveling in a car. I'll say 7-Eleven near me because I know it's a reliable place to get a Coke slushy.
Yep. There you go. Yep.
Quick question, Mike. I mean, you've done so many races, as Gene alluded to before, so has Gene. But in terms of atmosphere and enjoyment for ultra runs, where do you rank Western states up there? Obviously, you like it. You've done it a handful of times now.
Oh man, it's by far one of the best. It's kind of like if not like the best atmosphere, it's definitely top 2 or 3. Like well, I mean, you guys know since you're involved with the race, but the organization is top notch. The volunteers are insane, Gene. That's like the amazing thing about like this race, and you're going to experience this, is like they take amazing care of you. Like you get to the aid station, like your crew doesn't show up, it doesn't matter. Like they're gonna hook you up. Like they're your family. Like they're gonna have anything you could ever imagine, and like 100 things that you didn't even think that you might need. They're going to get you back on the course. They're going to keep you motivated. They're going to keep you excited. It's just a huge party. I think the one thing that I would warn against is like, it is such an amazing atmosphere. It's easy to get caught up in like running somebody else's race, or just getting too excited, because it is like a big party. Like I see you in the Boston jacket, and you probably know what that atmosphere is like in Boston. Like everyone goes out that first 10K of Boston like they're gonna set a PR, and you can't help yourself, because like the little kids are handing out the orange slices, and there's I just saw the dog for Boston just passed away, but like there's a history to it, and you want to be a part of that, and you want to run your best race, and like maybe there's you're chasing a record or something, which I know you are. Like there's a lot of pressure involved in it, and I would just you raced enough that you don't probably do stupid stuff, but I know myself, and sometimes I just get carried away. And so being mindful of like, hey, this is actually a long day, and I got to take care of myself. I try to remind myself of that while I'm out there.
No, I'm not too worried about that. I've run, so many hundreds, and I know
Yeah.
I'm going to get out there and feel the first 3 or 4 hours that, oh, I'm going to go under 20 hours. Just no,
Oh, we don't want you feeling that way, Gene.
no, it's okay to
Well,
feel that way.
especially
It's just
because
not
you'll
okay
feel
to act
good.
on it.
That's true. Don't act on it. Yeah, we want you feeling that way the entire time. Just don't act on it.
Yeah, that's where the experience comes in. Yeah. And then even just like having like in your own head like what your expectations are, right? Like, and just making sure that you are mindful of those as the day goes along. And I'd say like some people too, like, and I don't know if you do this, but you don't have to run the uphills as much as you think. Like even the top guys, like if you're in the very, very top, yeah, you're running all that stuff. But even like top 10 guys, they're walking some of those climbs, especially like Devil's Thumb and out of the canyons and stuff like that. So yeah, don't feel like you have to run everything.
No, no. Well, you don't have to worry about that. I do a lot of
Well, Mike,
I do a lot of hiking in hundreds and 200s. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a very good point. I mean, so you've got the ups covered. Try and run the flats, obviously, but talk about the downhills, Mike. I mean, we saw it last year with Reed. I mean, just insane pedigree, terrific athlete, but limited by the geography in his backyard as he prepped for the event. And these extended downhills, I mean, they take a toll.
Yeah, they definitely do. It's hard to train for on the East Coast. It really is. I mean, Gene, that's like one of the biggest things that I was going to say is like, if you can get that downhill training in, if you can find somewhere to get a long downhill in, that's great. But even just like doing hill repeats, I think would work. I've had some success with that, but also it's like not overdoing it. Like it's so easy to run the downhills at the beginning and you feel good. But yeah, at the end they catch up with you. And sometimes I don't know if it's same for you, Gene, but it's harder to hold yourself back, especially like Western states are not allowed to use poles either. So like sometimes you can take some of the weight off with poles when you're running downhill, but I think most people think, oh, poles climbing, but actually I use poles a lot just to help with the braking, that contraction as you're going downhill. But yeah, as long as you're kind of mindful, and you'll do great, man. Like I have no worries about you having a great day. I mean, you've got all the support and experience. Like now all you got to do is just kind of execute and get there healthy.
Yeah, just staying healthy is my main concern. I mean, already this year has gotten off to a kind of a poor start. So I'm nursing an injury now, and I've had to take 2 weeks off.
Okay.
So I'm looking at my schedule and figuring out what races I may have to drop. Just because Western States is the #1 race, and I don't want to do anything to jeopardize it. So
yeah, it's hard like that, isn't it? It's like you really have to you have to prioritize. It's like when I was getting ready to run across the country, I was getting all these awesome invites, probably like you, and I was like, I can't do it. can't do it this year. Sorry.
Okay, so last man standing questions, Gene. What do you want to know there?
Okay, let's see here. Last man standing. I did one. It was like the first couple months after COVID ripped up everything, and there was an international virtual race. And
Okay.
let's see. Well, I guess that was the one you won, right? No, I can't remember.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was the one where the guy was on the treadmill, and
yeah, I won that one.
He forgot to start running. Yeah,
Yep.
I ran that. There were about 2,000 some people entered. I finished 50th.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Yeah.
I only made 100 miles. I got 24 laps in, and I thought, geez, I should be able to do more than that. And because I run faster and further that in trail races, but so I was thinking this format seemed harder than I thought it would be. Did you find it that way, or was it just me? But boy, I was dying after 24 hours. Never felt that way.
Yeah, I've done it only a couple of times, and the first time it went like a home run, man. Yeah, like I crushed it. Like it was that one that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I signed up like the Wednesday before. It was on a Saturday morning or something, and like I wasn't even planning on running. I went out there with like a little box of like 4 gels. I was like, oh, I'll just run, see how far I get. And then, yeah, it went great. Like I was super, super fit, man. I was like getting ready to run across the country, and like COVID kind of knocked that off the rails. So like I had been like doing FKTs like every weekend. And like, so I was, yeah, really, really ready to go. And then the second time I went into it hurt, and I made it about 110 miles or something, 100, yeah, something like that. And then it's just hard. Yeah, it's hard, man. Like I think a lot of people like struggle with like the lack of sleep. Like that's something that I'm pretty good with dealing with. So like not having a lot of sleep is something that I can power through a lot of the time. But also like just that starting like every hour on the hour, especially like you can't be in the bathroom, you got to be ready. And then you can't take aid once you leave the aid station. So that was something like I got used to at Barkley. So like, yeah, that kind of stuff, I think it's almost just like getting in a routine, right?
Well, see, but you no doubt had more time. I started out with 20 minutes. Oh yeah, this is great, and then 15, and then 10, and then over half the race, I'm coming in 5 to 2 minutes before the turnaround, and trying to desperately upload the data from my watch and get a snack, and get back on the porch. It was real hard.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, better in person.
Well, speaking of in person, I haven't done one of them because you know, I mean, just doing things is fun. Yeah, I do it, but you know, half the fun is competition. And I haven't seen a single last man standing event that offered age group competition. You know, I mean, you know, what am I going to do running against 20 and 30-year-olds? I wonder, is it just because it's too new? Why don't they have age graded competition? I mean,
I think they just do it. I mean, they could have that as a subcategory, but I mean, the whole point of the race is just last person standing. So
sure,
like, they're
but you
trying to
could,
knock everyone out. It's not just you. Don't feel targeted. Like
no.
they're trying to get rid of everybody.
But if there were, say, 10 guys over 60 that I was competing against, you know,
Yeah, I mean that
it's
would be
same as
like
any
a
other race.
subcategory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I hear you. I feel like that's just a format. Like they don't have any difference for men or women. It's just like you either win or you don't. Everyone else fails. So like
mhm,
that's why, like, you either win or you go home.
yeah. But yeah, in a road race, you know, I don't have to beat everybody to have some sort of sense of victory. I only have to beat the guys in my age group. So I don't know.
Well, I think in this one you're just trying to beat yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're just it's not actually about the other people. It's just about you.
Yeah, more and more you'll be finding out as you get older. You'll start having gripes about discrimination against old people. Um, for instance, well, it's not really a great example, but the Western states, not the Western states, the North Face Endurance Challenge that we both did in San Francisco one year.
Uh-huh.
The 50-mile, you know, whoever won the 50-mile event, I mean, they got a whole pile load of money. I was think
10 grand. Yeah.
10 grand, right? You know
Yep.
what I got for winning my age group? I got a mug. And the mug didn't even have a logo or anything on it. It was just a mug, just a plain old mug. And that's an example of the difference in expenditures for young people versus old people.
No respect.
Yeah.
All right, you got a great question here, Gene. I'm looking at it right now. 2021 ComSet 50.
All right, you were saying about running one of your last man standings kind of injured. Well, we both ran that a couple of years ago, and I said, I'll look up and see how many times he lapped me. I want to ask him whether he noticed me when he lapped me. And then I said, wait, you only finished 20 minutes ahead of me. So I figured either you were tired, you were injured, or both.
No, I was coming back from injury. I had herniated my L5S1 in my back, and so that was kind of my first race back from injury.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was definitely struggled on that day.
Yeah, I did. I definitely didn't think for a second, oh, wow, I ran faster than I thought.
You got him. You almost got him.
Yeah. One more lap, I'd have gotten him.
Yeah, no, you probably would have, man. I was dying, man. It was a hard race for me. Just like it was nice to be out there, but I probably wasn't ready to run that distance at pace.
Oh, I killed the last lap. That was by far my fastest lap, and you know, I was
Oh, that
practically
was not
sprinting
mine.
the last few miles.
Yeah, I was definitely going the other way.
Guys, I think we're gonna have to wrap this up shortly. But
okay, I'll get to my good questions then.
well, you have a great one here about DNFs and DNS.
Yeah, real quick. I was noticing our ultra sign up page, and it said you had no DNFs and no DNSs. Is that possible? That you never failed to show up for a race that you signed up for, and having showed up, never failed to finish?
That I think I've showed up for every race I've signed up for, but I've definitely dropped out of races. I've dropped out of Boston once. I've dropped out of the Spartathlon in Greece once.
Well, these would only be ones that are on ultra sign up. So it sounds like maybe you've never DNF'd an ultra sign up race.
Yeah, that might be. like I think I've only dropped out of maybe like 4 or 5 races in my entire life. So yeah, I usually gut it out and walk it in if I have to. I dropped out of a race in China because I was like vomiting all over the course. And then I dropped out of a race in Germany where I got like medevaced off the mountain with like 5K to go. Because I had like been in Ethiopia and gotten super sick from I had run a marathon the week before and gotten super sick.
All right, question number 2. Of the 153 marathons and ultra marathons that I've done in the last 15 years, I have 4 favorite races. All of them are the 4 200-mile trail runs that I've done. Certainly, you must have one of those on your list because you haven't done one yet, right?
I haven't done one of Candace's, but I've done like the Ultra Gobi 400K in China, and I've done some kind of longer efforts like that. But I haven't done any of the I don't know, the 200 like Tahoe 200 or Moab or anything like that. But yeah, those are definitely on my list. It's just been hard to fit them in.
Yeah. Bigfoot 200 is easily my favorite race. It's just something you
awesome.
have
Okay,
to
that's
do.
good to know. I have a friend that did a couple of them too.
Yeah, it's incredible. My other 200, besides those, I did all of Candace's. I did a 200 in Australia. They have 3 over there that are also really, really top notch.
Okay.
And my other 200 was my first one. It was a race for the ages. That's another one of Laz's races. I'm sure you know about it. It's one where you
don't.
Really? It's in Tennessee, of course. And you get 1 hour for every year of your age to run as many miles as you can.
Okay.
So I did 205 laps of a 1 mile course and won it that year. But you're probably too young to win. I mean, you're good, but I don't think you could win it at your age. You're what, like 47?
I'm 48. Yep.
Yeah, 48. Well, Serge won it.
That'd be like 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah, Serge won it when he was 48. But the course record has gone up another 28 miles since then.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
I actually
would have
ran
to do,
with Serge.
say, 220 miles to have a chance in 2 days.
That seems like a lot.
Sounds doable.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends how fast you go. I bet Camille could win it.
Well, you'd have a good shot at something like that and any of these 200s because of your ability to go a long way without sleep. That's a limiting factor for a lot of people, as opposed to their endurance. They just, it's one where you just can't afford to sleep a whole lot. It's not like a stage race where you get to rest every night.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I've got comrades in Hard Rock this year, but when's Bigfoot? Isn't that August or something?
Yeah, it's always in August. Good dependable weather then.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, good thought on that.
Well, let's see. I'll press my luck. My favorite race, shorter than 200 miles, is the Cayuga Trails 50.
That's the one in New York, right?
Yeah, Ithaca, New York. I've done it so many times. Almost every year that it's been around. It used to be the USATF 50-mile trail championship. So there have been some really, really good competitors there. It isn't, but it's still, the scenery is incredible. The trails between the scenery are really nice and underfoot.
Okay.
Pleasant scenery. Really ought to give that a go instead of the JFK one of these years.
Yeah, I got my 10 JFK finishes, so I haven't gone back since that.
I've talked over 20 people into doing that race, and now a lot of them do it every year too, because it's just a wonderful race.
Well, gents, I think this was a fantastic conversation. I think there's been a lot of information shared, and I've certainly learned a lot. It's great to get your insights, Mike. And Yeah, great questions both ways. This has been hugely informative and a lot of fun. I mean, I love nothing more than hearing the running war stories and learning about the experiences that you've had. And it's great to see the flow and the Q&A with Gene back and forth, and you sharing some of your experiences to help him with his journey and prep for this massive race. So thank you again for joining Breakfast with Gene. Gene, as always, thanks for joining your namesake podcast radio show, #1 hit on all Apple, Google, whatever other podcast platforms. We're just climbing the charts.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
That's it. That's it. Well, thanks again. Enjoy your oatmeal, and we will catch up with you very soon. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.